If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This has been another episode sponsored by Online Horse College. If you haven't had a look at the wide variety of equine-specific accredited courses, then go to onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there. If you'd like to acquire more customers and generate more sales with less effort, then talk to Sophie Barrington at Archer Creative. They have the first and only full-service equine marketing agency in the Southern Hemisphere, serving Australian and international equine brands. Simply go to horsechats.com, search for Sophie, search for Barrington, or search for Archer Creative to find out a bit more about the equine business marketing specialists. Our guest today is Zoe Coade. How are you today, Zoe?
I'm really great. Thank you very much. I hope you're okay too.
Yeah, good to talk to you. Now, I'll just give people a little bit of background about Zoe. Zoe's got a background in dressage, show jumping and eventing. She's been a horse professional and trainer a long time. She's also now an author. She was a trainer in the Mustang Makeover in Germany, which I think was a first for Europe. And now she's been in the newly released movie Listening to the Horse. She spreads a knowledge and a passion and teaches clinics worldwide. Does that pretty much explain you, Zoe, or is there anything else we need to put in there?
That pretty much sums it up, I think.
Okay. Now, we start off with a favourite quote.
Yes.
Yes. What have you got for us?
So I've got for you, dressage is for the horse. The horse is not for the dressage. Mm-hmm. And this is by Ben Branderup. Yes. He's now a Grand Master of the dressage and very renowned in Europe and I hope in the future the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. I know that, you sort of said a little bit about him here, about bringing back the very essence of the old ways of training a horse fit for a king, saying that it takes years to develop a horse correctly and healthily for any discipline, and he reaches the very high levels of dressage in the high school, no matter what the breeding of the horse. So I think that sort of says a little bit about his background as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Anything from Icelandic to a Shire.
Yeah. Now, you've sort of started off with dressage, show jumping and eventing, and you've gone on now and you've become a bit of a superstar, really, Zoe. What sort of took you from just the classical, or the background of dressage, show jumping, eventing? What's brought you in? What's expanded so that you've got so much more media? You're a trainer in the Mustang Makeover. I'm sure they weren't looking for people so much, but people who are able to really understand horses and, have that knowledge of bringing on young horses. What got you into that field?
It's really the type of training, really, and the lifestyle. In 2005, I moved from England to the Netherlands, and the way I trained horses completely changed. I went from working a 35-hour week to a 70-hour week, and the one horse I had at that time, let's say our relationship kind of got dissolved, and it got to the point where I was absolutely terrified of her, and I couldn't even catch her from the field, things like that. So I realised that I needed more knowledge and had to change. So I actually went on the pathway of natural horsemanship. I was a 3-star Pirelli professional for 7 years, and that was absolutely life-changing for me. I decided to leave the Pirelli pathway a year ago to venture out on my own, and that's pretty much how I got invited to do the Mustang Makeover. In combination with my colleague Silke Valentin. She invited me to assist her on training with the Mustangs. And I have to say it was the most amazing experience.
Tell us, for people who haven't heard about the Mustang Makeover, tell us a little bit about it.
Basically, it's in support of there's kind of a problem in the United States with regards to the Mustangs and where they can live. Land is shrinking, and people's patience with having these Mustangs on their land is shrinking. So they put these Mustangs into holdings. And there's a few foundations out there. One of them is called the BLM. So there's 2 options with these horses. One, they can either basically get rid of them, shoot them, or 2, they can look into rehoming them. And fortunately, and thanks to social media, there's many foundations out there trying to rehome them. And the guys that organised the German Mustang Makeover were the first in Europe to kind of bring this to our eyes, to make us realise that we too can rehome these beautiful horses. So it's kind of gone from there, and it's very successful. Last year was the second year, and they're definitely going to continue into 2019.
Okay. And how many horses were brought over?
Last year was 20. This year was 30.
Okay.
And they managed to rehome all of them. And now there's kind of something going on in the background where they continue to help rehome Mustangs and get them over to Europe. There's so much going on. It's very nice and very interesting, and I'm a big advocate of this project to rehome the Mustangs.
Yep. And then is it from there that you became part of the newly released movie, The Listening to the Horse? Was that sort of bringing, so I'm sort of following your pathway here, that you started off with, let's say, traditional classical training, your dressage, show jumping, eventing. Then you got to a stage where you may have been riding, and a lot of people do. They ride and compete, but they don't have any sort of relationship with their horse. And the fact that you can't catch your horse, then you started to learn a lot more about natural horsemanship. You became a 3-star trainer with Pat, and then you did the Mustangs, and then has that brought you to the Listening to the Horse movie?
Exactly, yeah. In some form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I think it's a good story, and I think that you would have been persistent. It wouldn't have been just one decision. I mean, one might have led on to the other, which led on to the other, which led on to the other. But I'm sure it wasn't just one decision. I'm sure it was multiple decisions and multiple ways of you being persistent with your passion, with your knowledge, with your beliefs, that sort of kept you progressing through that. Is that right? Am I reading that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Nail on the head.
Okay. Yeah. Good. What do you think then, the knowledge that you've got now, what would you say to people who are, you going back to when you had that horse in the field? What could you tell your younger self?
Oh, I guess the main message is really just understand who horses really are. I mean, as I say this to you now, my tear up, because I see this day in, day out. People own these beautiful, majestic, interesting, incredibly intelligent animals, yet they know very little about them. I mean, we see this as well with dogs and cats. Tell my younger self, find out more about these horses, find out about how they interact, find out about what they really think, because they do really think very different to us. And when we can just have a little tiny essence of an understanding of this, it just helps us. It stops us getting frustrated. The horse never does anything to make us angry on purpose. They're so pure, they cannot lie. And all of these frustrations that come up when, let's say, we're having problems with the horse, kind of activates our human response. And for me, I'm a little half-Irish lady. It was very easy for me to lose my temper. And what I've learned the most, especially the past 10 years, is to keep that temper in check. The horse is not doing this to annoy you. And the more understanding you have about them, it leads to every subject, from leading to riding to going out on a trail. Things just start to become more beautiful, so to speak.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm just thinking about you as an author, wrote a book. Is that right? The Horse Who Broke Two Legs?
Yep.
Tell us a bit about that horse.
So that's the same horse. It's a mare. She's a mare hunter. Very big horse. She sits around 900 kilos, which is just less than a ton. And she turned hard on a field, and there was a couple of scenarios. I can't quite pinpoint how and when she broke her leg. I explain that in the book, but it did turn out that she broke off a piece of her patella, completely immobilized her leg. And I talk about my journey of decisions I had to make to help her come through this. And the main message in the book, just like everything from training to learning, horses are at their absolute absolute best when they're just given time. And even with this quite severe fracture, which horses have been put to sleep for less, I gave her the time to pull through, and we just watched this horse help herself and heal herself over about a period of 18 months, bring her back into 100% recovery position. It's a very beautiful story. It's a little bit dark in places because I talk about where I went in my head and the feelings and emotions that came up during this period. But to be quite frank, it was one of the most amazing experiences with regards to horses, all combined in one book.
Yeah. So what happened? You know, you got to the stage where you couldn't catch her, couldn't do anything with her. You did the work with Pirelli. Did you go back to her?
Yeah, I of course, in that time, Pat had V8 tapes available.
Okay.
And
so you were able to do that?
Watched them at least,
Yep.
And then started from there. And I have to say, within 3 weeks, it was just completely different.
Okay.
I was different. She was different. She was it was just, traditional story.
Yes. Okay, so now when you go out, because you travel around the world, you go out and do clinics. Now, for people then, you know, if you come along, you're seeing a whole lot of people at a clinic, they might be complete strangers. What's a common, and there's two things here, a common thing for that you could teach the people, and also exercises that you like to do to test the horse, to warm up the horse, not test, but, you know, see where the horses are at, to see what level they're at, or to see, you know, if there's anything you need to do, a warm-up exercise. So two things. One is a common problem that we can help people with, and the other thing is a warm-up exercise or an exercise that you can do with your horse.
So the common thing, I like to get it to the point where I can teach the people to not pull and to not kick the horse to go. Prior to that, of course, there are relaxation skills. And basically when I start off clinic, my introduction is kind of with these words. I want to complement your horsemanship and what you already know. Because, you know, there's so much information out there today, it can be kind of overwhelming. So I like to get it to a point where I don't want to make this person feel undermined. I want to understand a little bit about what they know first, and then I will complement that. And then at the same time, if there's some, let's say, bad habits going on, I can kind of pull the person away from that and give them a better, almost instant result of how they could do that better.
Okay.
And usually kicking and pulling are my biggest no-nos, and how we turn that around and get that a bit more efficient. But it's the same with groundwork. I mean, a lot of people do quite handy groundwork. It's usually missing the technique from the human's hands and their internal energy. Okay. Their internal energy can be too high or too low, or their expectations too high for the horse in that moment. So that's what I'm usually trying to figure out and get people good with first. And that does involve moving the horse's feet around, hind-quarter disengagements, getting the horse to a place where he's mentally engaged in what the human is asking and not just in it just because that's what they've been asked to do. If that makes sense.
Yep. And I like the term there, you know, mentally engaged.
Mentally engaged. It's so important because, you know, horses are so giving. They give us a lot of, you know, it's like the horse that never spooked, and then one day he spooked out of the blue. That spook didn't come out of the blue. He just probably gave that human a lot of gifts. Trail rides, and then one day out it pops.
Yep. What about a warm-up exercise for a horse? You know, if you sort of go in and you've got a group of people that you're teaching and you're trying to work out where they're up to. So what sort of exercise would you do there?
Sometimes, to be honest, it's to do nothing. To get humans where they can just really stand there, see what that horse does when they ask him to stand there, and really do nothing. And the term I learned for this is called zero brace. horses stand around together a lot doing nothing in a very silent world. I find it quite interesting. A lot of horses cannot do that with their humans. So that's one exercise. And then from the moment where they start to move the horse's feet, I like to get it where the human moves the horse's feet first. Mm-hmm. I learned, these are Paparelli's words, leadership is who moves whose feet first. And horses are so good at moving their human's feet first. Mm-hmm. So I like to get just that one little exercise where the human leads the nose and moves the horse's feet first. And already at that moment, the horses are more mentally engaged and listening to their human, because it's a change in skills, it's a change in language and so forth. And then we just kind of go from there.
Yeah. If you're an equestrian coach or a horse riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look at the free video series for horse riding instructors on the Horse Chats website. Go there now, have a look, horsechats.com. Okay, and Zoe, going back over to the Mustang makeover, are you going back next year?
It's quite possible I will be a judge. Mm-hmm. As for the actual training of a Mustang, I don't actually have the facility to hold a wild Mustang at this time. Okay. Well, I did 2 years ago. I had the horse actually at Silke's place in Germany, so I was travelling backwards forwards 9 hours to train the Mustang. So I hope in the near future I have the facility, because it's not something that can't be taken seriously. You've got this semi-wild horse, and it can't stand behind an electric fence. It can't, they'll just run through this electric fence. Yep. There has to be proper facility and I just can't do it right now. Yeah. But I hope in the future it's possible. I would love to.
Okay. All right then. Now, what else have you got planned? Do you know, sort of expanding the facility and then looking at doing something there? I know you're travelling and you're doing clinics, teaching. Have you got anything else planned? You got another book planned?
I've got 2 books planned. I've got, it's actually a secret program.
Oh, okay.
Evolving about certain subjects that are not out there yet for the horse. But I can tell about my book that should come out somewhere around early 2019, which is called The 5 Sensory Systems of the Horse.
Okay, just say that again, the 5
sensory systems of the horse.
All right, and that'd be great if we can come back and talk about that when it's out, I think. Yeah. And also maybe get a little bit of an insight to your secret project that you're not allowed to talk about yet. That'd be really good.
No, not yet.
That's okay. When we talk about the 5 sensory systems, we might talk about the secret project as well.
Super.
Okay. All right, Zoe. Look, before you go though, have you got a philosophy? If you were going to, as I said, talk to your younger self or talk to someone who's just starting out with horses, what would you say to them to do with getting horses, riding, training, just in a couple of sentences?
I would just say find yourself a good education program or somebody that inspires you and follow them. Good. And learn from them and follow them long enough so that you actually start to get good at what you're learning. Okay. Because people, they start to learn something, get a few good tips, and then they move off or they don't do it anymore. So that's what I would say. I would say find something, learn, get good at it. Good. Does that help?
Yeah. Now, Zoe, how can people contact you?
So I have many options. I have a website, coade.com. You can find me on Facebook. I also have a Facebook page called Zoe's Horse Bites. In there you're going to see quite a lot of vlogs and videos, and also on Instagram, Zoe Coade.
Okay. And those details will be on Horse Chats as well. You can go to horsechats.com/Zoe Coade, and Coade is COADE, or just go to horsechats.com and search for Zoe, and you'll find the contact details for Zoe if you'd like to talk to her a little bit more about her training and about lots and lots of things she's done. You could ask her privately about a secret project. She might be able to tell you. I'm not sure. and we'll stay in touch. And when you've got your book out as well, Zoe, we'll talk to you about that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye.
Now, if you're still there, you probably know that I'm absolutely passionate about education within the horse industry. That's why I host this podcast. My other venture is Online Horse College. Have a look now at onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.